Sigmas, take a moment. Slow your breathing. Let's step into a space of quiet observation. Not the loud roar of the crowd, but the subtle hum of someone living deliberately. Because in stillness, you'll find what many men never grasp. Attraction is not something you force, it's something you become. You might have read about the loudest men in the room, the boldest gestures and the fastest moves. But what if the real power lies in what you consistently embody, day in and day out? Long after the lights fade and the applause dies down, that's the territory of the high-value man. That's the realm where women don't chase you because you demand their attention. They're drawn to you because your presence quietly demands nothing, yet offers something profound. Imagine walking into a room. You don't announce yourself with a shout. You enter with calm purpose. You carry an inner integrity that says, I know who I am. I know what I bring. I don't need to prove it. And people, especially women attuned to deeper signals, feel that presence. They sense the grounded nature, the consistent habits, and the refusal to be distracted by noise. They begin to respond. They begin to lean in. They begin to wonder, what is it about this man? This video isn't about tricks or flashy routines. It isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about refining your being. It's about cultivating habits that align with the Sigma male within, the one who stands quietly, who speaks only when necessary, who acts because it matters, not because it looks good. Habits that signal value, consistency, strength, vulnerability, and purpose. Habits that invite attention not through desperation, but through magnetism. If you're ready to shift from being someone who hopes to attract attention to someone who naturally invites it, settle in. We'll walk together through 6 attractive habits that make women notice. Not beg in desperation, but lean in with genuine appreciation. Because when you build from the inside out, your world begins to respond accordingly. Let's begin. Number 1, silent self-mastery. Mastering yourself, your emotions, behaviors, and daily discipline signals a rare kind of strength that few ever achieve. A Sigma male understands that true power is not about domination or control, but about self-command. He knows that the man who can regulate his inner world can shape his outer one. Psychology refers to this as self-regulation, a skill closely tied to emotional intelligence. The ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's emotions while remaining steady under pressure. Research shows that individuals with high emotional intelligence tend to experience greater success in leadership, relationships, and personal fulfillment. The Sigma male doesn't need to announce this mastery. He embodies it through his calm presence and deliberate actions. While many men chase validation through noise, he finds validation in silence. His quiet consistency becomes magnetic. Women, often attuned to subtle cues of safety and stability, instinctively notice this. It's not his words that attract them, but the sense of peace they feel around him, a peace born from emotional control and grounded purpose. From a behavioral standpoint, self-mastery manifests in habits, the disciplined rhythm of daily life. A Sigma's day might look ordinary to the outside eye, rising early, exercising, studying, and working in solitude. But within that routine lies something profound, the consistent training of willpower. Neuroscience supports this idea. Habits, when repeated, reshape neural pathways in the brain, reinforcing self-control and focus. Over time, the Sigma becomes the architect of his own mental state. His calm is not accidental. It's built through thousands of quiet choices to respond rather than react, to observe rather than rush. This makes him incredibly resilient in the face of stress or conflict because he's not swayed by temporary emotions. He understands that storms are inevitable, but panic is optional. What fascinates people, and particularly women, is how this composure feels in a world that glorifies chaos. When everyone is shouting, a calm man commands attention without trying. It's biology and psychology intertwined. Studies in evolutionary psychology suggest that emotional stability signals protection, security, and confidence, traits deeply valued at a subconscious level. Thus, a Sigma male doesn't need grand gestures or excessive charm. His very presence communicates assurance. Mastering yourself isn't about being perfect. It's about being grounded enough to stay centered when life tilts off balance. That silent stability, that inner discipline, becomes his quiet superpower, the invisible force that draws others in without a single word. Number 2, purposeful independence. Independence isn't isolation. It's one of the most misunderstood yet magnetic traits a man can possess. True independence doesn't mean cutting yourself off from others or living in emotional solitude. It means walking a path of purpose and principle, where your sense of worth doesn't rely on approval or attention from the outside world. In psychological terms, this quality is closely related to what researchers call self-determination theory, which emphasizes autonomy, competence, and relatedness as the 3 pillars of human motivation. Men who embody these traits naturally radiate a quiet confidence. They don't chase validation because their identity is already rooted in something solid, their mission, their craft, or their belief system. This grounded energy creates what many call the gravitational pull of masculine calm, a presence that draws others in without effort. Women, in particular, respect and are often deeply intrigued by men who live by their own internal compass. In evolutionary psychology, this is linked to signal theory. People are drawn to individuals who display qualities of stability, capability, and self-sufficiency because those traits signal long-term security and leadership. When a man doesn't crumble under social pressure or emotional manipulation, he communicates emotional maturity, something far more attractive than charm alone. Independence also reflects discipline and clarity. It says, I have direction, and that direction gives your life meaning beyond fleeting pleasures or popularity. Being anchored in something bigger than yourself, your purpose, faith, craft, or moral code, creates a natural aura of respect. You stop competing for attention because your focus shifts from impressing others to improving yourself. This shift is powerful. Neuroscience studies have shown that people with intrinsic motivation, those driven by internal goals rather than external rewards, experience greater happiness and emotional resilience. Their brain's reward centers respond more consistently to progress rather than praise. In real life, that looks like a man who works on his vision quietly, who doesn't need an audience to feel worthy. That's the paradox. When you stop trying to be attractive, you become attractive. When your life has purpose and structure, people sense it. Even without words, it's in your tone, your posture, and your energy. Independence, therefore, isn't about distance. It's about direction. It's knowing where you're going and refusing to lose yourself in the noise along the way. That's what makes a man magnetic. Not because he seeks validation, but because he doesn't need it. Number 3, deep listening and authentic engagement. One of the lesser spoken traits of high-value men is their ability to genuinely listen, a skill that goes far beyond simply hearing words. In a world where everyone is waiting for their turn to speak, A man who listens with full attention stands out as rare and magnetic. True listening isn't passive. It's an active process that involves emotional presence, empathy, and focus. When a man listens, he's not rehearsing his reply or trying to impress. He's attuned to what's being said, both verbally and through body language. Women can sense this authenticity almost immediately. Psychology research from Harvard University shows that when people feel genuinely heard, the brain releases oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which deepens connection and trust. That's why when a man listens attentively, he doesn't just earn respect, he creates emotional safety, the foundation upon which real attraction is built. Most men underestimate how powerful this trait is because they confuse confidence with dominance. But true confidence isn't about controlling the conversation. It's about being grounded enough to let silence speak. When you maintain eye contact, nod subtly, and mirror the speaker's emotions, you're sending powerful subconscious signals of understanding and presence. Neuro-linguistic studies reveal that this mirroring activates the brain's empathy network, leading others to feel seen and valued. Women, in particular, are biologically wired to detect emotional availability, which makes a calm, focused listener far more appealing than a loud, self-centered talker. It's not the charm or witty lines that linger, it's the feeling of being understood. In communication science, this is known as active listening, and it's a cornerstone of emotional intelligence. It involves not just paying attention, but also reflecting on what's said, asking thoughtful follow-up questions, and responding with genuine curiosity. High-value men do this naturally because they aren't seeking validation. They seek understanding. This shift in mindset transforms conversations from transactional to meaningful. The woman feels safe to open up, share her thoughts, and be herself, something she might rarely experience in a world of distractions. Over time, this emotional resonance creates a bond that no amount of physical attraction can replicate. So when you talk with a woman, remember that your attention is your greatest gift. Your presence tells her she matters, and that's what leaves a lasting impression. Listening deeply doesn't just make you more attractive, it makes you more human, more trustworthy, and more magnetic than words ever could. Number 4, boundaries with kindness. High-value men live by a code that balances strength with empathy, and that balance is what truly sets them apart. They know exactly what they will tolerate and what crosses the line. This self-awareness doesn't come from arrogance. It's the result of deep inner work, emotional intelligence, and years of understanding their own worth. When a man is clear about his boundaries, it communicates something powerful. He values his peace, his time, and his energy. Psychologically, this creates a sense of certainty and leadership that others naturally respect. Yet what makes a high-value man magnetic isn't just the firmness of his boundaries, it's how he enforces them. Instead of being harsh or dismissive, he's kind but unwavering. He doesn't raise his voice or belittle anyone. He simply communicates his limits with calm confidence. This approach, rooted in emotional maturity, taps into what psychologists call secure attachment, a state where one can express needs and maintain boundaries without fear or aggression. Women are especially drawn to this combination because it satisfies two deep emotional drives: safety and excitement. Safety comes from his predictability and integrity. She knows he means what he says and will stand by his principles. Excitement arises from his independence and mystery. He doesn't need validation. And the quiet self-sufficiency challenges her in ways that feel both alluring and rare. Studies in social psychology show that people are more attracted to those who balance warmth with assertiveness, as this blend signals high social and emotional value. A man who can be kind without being weak and firm without being cruel becomes a natural leader in relationships and life. High-value men also inspire respect because they live by example. They don't preach self-respect, they embody it. They're consistent, authentic, and selective with their time, which makes their approval mean more. In a world where many seek instant gratification, their restraint becomes its own form of charisma. When such a man walks into a room, people sense his quiet confidence. His energy communicates that he's not chasing, he's choosing. This subtle shift in mindset transforms how others perceive him. To women, he represents stability without stagnation, a man who knows who he is, what he wants, and how to lead with empathy. And that combination of clarity and compassion, it's not just attractive, it's unforgettable. Number 5, consistency over flashiness. Consistency in behavior is one of the most powerful and underrated traits a man can possess. While charisma can attract attention for a moment, consistency keeps that attention for a lifetime. It's the quiet force that builds trust, credibility, and emotional safety, qualities that go far deeper than superficial charm. In psychology, this is rooted in the principle of behavioral predictability, which suggests that people feel more comfortable and secure when they can anticipate how someone will act. This predictability fosters stability in relationships, whether romantic, professional, or social. A Sigma male, often seen as mysterious and independent, doesn't rely on fleeting displays of charisma to gain respect or affection. Instead, he earns it through steady actions that align with his words. He doesn't make promises he can't keep, nor does he change his demeanor based on who's watching. This reliability signals strength, integrity, and emotional maturity, qualities that women and peers find irresistibly magnetic. From a neurological standpoint, consistency activates trust responses in the brain. When people repeatedly experience dependable behavior, the brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, reinforcing a sense of security and connection. That's why consistency, not grand gestures, strengthens relationships over time. A man who shows up the same way day after day communicates something rare in an age of unpredictability, control over his impulses and alignment between intention and action. For the Sigma male, this consistency isn't performance, it's identity. His values, routines, and demeanor remain stable regardless of external chaos. This creates a quiet gravitational pull. People begin to associate his presence with peace and reliability. In the long run, consistency becomes a form of charisma itself, deeper, quieter, and far more sustainable. It's the kind of attraction that doesn't demand attention but commands it naturally. The Sigma male's calm dependability sets him apart from those who burn bright but fade quickly. While others rely on charm to make impressions, he relies on character to build legacies, and that's why he doesn't need to impress in fleeting moments. He impresses through reliability. In a world obsessed with highlights and instant gratification, his steady rhythm becomes both his shield and his magnet, drawing respect, admiration, and trust without ever asking for it. Number 6, mystery with transparency. Attraction often deepens when a man carries an air of mystery without hiding his true self. It's not about playing games or being distant. It's about pacing what you reveal and how you reveal it. A man who holds a little back keeps a woman's curiosity, alive, much like a story that unfolds one chapter at a time. Psychologically, this taps into what's known as the information gap theory of curiosity, where people feel a strong urge to fill in the blanks when they sense missing details. When a man shares only what's necessary, his values, his purpose, and his intentions, he establishes trust while maintaining a sense of depth. In contrast, oversharing or bragging too soon often removes intrigue and can make one appear needy or self-centered. The mysterious man, however, is not emotionally unavailable. He's emotionally grounded. He knows that attraction thrives not on constant exposure, but on gradual revelation. Research in social dynamics even suggests that unpredictability heightens interest. The brain releases more dopamine when outcomes are uncertain. That's why women tend to notice the man who's consistent, but not overly predictable, present but not overexposed. His silence becomes as magnetic as his words. His restraint signals confidence. He doesn't need to broadcast everything to prove his worth. Instead, he allows time and observation to reveal his character. Every conversation feels intentional, every glance layered with meaning. This balance between openness and mystery creates what psychologists call secure allure, a form of attraction built on calm self-assurance rather than attention-seeking. So when a man reveals enough to show authenticity, but withholds enough to spark curiosity, he becomes someone worth discovering, not just someone easy to read. It's that delicate balance between transparency and restraint that makes his presence quietly irresistible. Sigmas, remember this. These habits aren't destinations. They're paths you walk every day. The world won't always recognize you. The applause may not come in thunderous waves, but quiet respect will. Subtle invitations will. Deeper connections will. Cultivate these habits, not for attention, but because you value yourself, because you live your days with intention, because you choose to become high value in the truest sense. When your inner world aligns with your outer world, you no longer chase attention, you embody attraction. And the right women, those who value depth, consistency, and authenticity, will lean toward you. They'll want not just the moment, but the man behind the moment. If you found value here, subscribe and let's walk this path together. Your growth, your evolution, your legacy, they matter. Having said this,